Hey, what's going on out there, Spotlight Faithful? It's your main man, Tommy, on the spot. Today is Monday, September the 25th, 2017. Last night was WWE No Mercy, and I gotta be honest, yesterday was a great day if you're a sports fan. If you're a sports fan like myself, it really doesn't get much better than yesterday. Great day of football all around. My Jets with a gigantic victory over the hated Miami Dolphins. Our first victory of the year, holding down home field in our home opener, which was really cool. There were upsets out the ass yesterday if you were a football fan. It was just great. You had to watch everything. There was no game you could have turned off yesterday and been like, wow, this game is over, or this game, unless you started with the Jacksonville Jaguars in the morning. But every single game was close. You had upsets everywhere. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and then the best way to end a football Sunday is with a great wrestling show. And I thought that's what we got yesterday. For the most part, I really enjoyed WWE No Mercy. Obviously, the big thing coming out of that show has been Roman Reigns and John Cena. I thought that was the match of the night. I thought those guys brought it. I think they lived up to the hype. And after the match, John Cena sitting in the ring, looking, kind of like he's questioning things, and kind of like he may be wrapping up and maybe even retiring. And I don't think and first off, I don't think he's retiring. And he flat out said he was not retiring during the Raw Talk show, so we can kind of put that to bed. But obviously he endorses Roman Reigns at the end of that match, which I personally am not a fan of. I don't think every single big babyface versus big babyface match has to end with the guy who's going out the door endorsing the other guy, kind of like how they did when they did Hogan and Rock, even though Hogan went into that match as a heel. Then they did it obviously with Rock and Cena. That lasted a much longer period of time, but it ends with The Rock endorsing John Cena. And then they did it yesterday with John Cena and Roman Reigns. It's kind of like, I don't know. I personally am not a fan of it myself. You have all this hype for the match, all these promos for the match where they hate each other, they don't respect each other, and then after one match they love each other. And John Cena saying how Roman Reigns, stole the torch, didn't even give him any chance to give him the torch. He did such a great job. It was a great match, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a fan of the now we're all best friends and I'm endorsing him and a big sign of respect and hug and all that. Not my thing. But I did think that didn't take away from the match. I didn't take away from the really emotional Cena post-match. I thought Cena did a really, really good job with the post-match, and and kind of just taking it all in. And I think yesterday was the end of an era, and it was one of these things where afterwards I was kind of sitting there and thinking myself that for 15 years really, John Cena, what a run, has been toward the top of the card or in the main events, and he's been doing a job where maybe you love the guy, maybe you hate the guy, but it's really come full circle for him to where the point, I think the greatest sign that I saw yesterday was, if Cena loses, we riot. And I remember being live WrestleMania 27 when he was facing The Miz in Atlanta, and looking over in the CNN tower where all of the hotel was, and seeing a big signs everywhere. If Cena wins, we riot. If Cena wins, we jump off this balcony. Pretty grim, but fans hated the guy so much, and yesterday it was really like finally they've realized all that this guy has done. And it's kind of like hating John Cena isn't really the thing anymore. People are way past that. He's had a really, really unbelievable run, especially if you think about the last 2 years when he did the U.S. Challenge, and where he's been wrestling guys and putting everyone over, from Kevin Owens to AJ Styles to obviously to Roman Reigns, and even before that, putting guys over like CM Punk, putting guys over like Daniel Bryan. He really did try, and I know that people will hate on the guy, and there's not much I can say that's going to change your mind on that, but as he prepares to kind of take more of I'd say a Triple H-ish type role. I don't think he's going to be as limited as Triple H. Triple H is really now, he has one match, and he has one program that leads to that match. And that's at WrestleMania. I think Cena will be around. I think he'll be around for pretty much Rumble through Mania, and then probably something for SummerSlam as well. But I'm thinking that's probably going to be it. Maybe he'll have some matches here or there, but I'm thinking that's probably going to be where Cena will most likely be. And he said yesterday he's at a point now where when the light shines, he'll be summoned back, and he'll be doing his thing because he loves it. And he does. And if you haven't gotten a chance, go listen to him on the Edge and Christian podcast, which is a great podcast. He did a really, really great job, I thought, in kind of explaining everything and explaining his run, explaining his views on the business and where he's at now. And, I mean, hey, he's the type of guy that at the time when Rock was doing his movies and such, he was very involved in WWE and saying, hey, you know, he was here every day and he was busting his ass, he was holding it down. But now it's kind of almost, and obviously his career is nowhere near The Rock, but he's kind of in a similar position where The Rock is, where he's getting more and more movie roles. He's in this movie, I think it's called Ferdinand, where the entire movie is just him. Like, this animated flick is basically just built on John Cena as Ferdinand. There's literally nobody else who I've seen even promoted for the film. And he's going to be in Daddy's Home. He's going to be Bumblebee in Transformers. He's getting more and more work in Hollywood, so you really, I would be very, he just doesn't have enough time to be there each week in WWE. And I think he's going to continue to balance it out and see what he can do here and there. But I'd say that John Cena's run toward the top of the card as a everyday part of the card is probably over. And that's big, because he's been toward the top of the card for so long. And he's 16 title reigns. Everyone just assumed it was a foregone conclusion he was going to break Ric Flair's record, and maybe somewhere down the road he will. He's only 40, and 40 this day and age is young in WWE. You got Chris Jericho. He's having some of the best matches and toward the top of the card, and he's in his late 40s at this point. So Cena's got a lot of time, I think, left. If he wanted to come back, do one more run, win one more title, I think he certainly can. But for right now, I'd say that foregone conclusion of him surpassing Ric Flair is sort of in jeopardy. And, you know, nothing wrong with that. Ric Flair had an illustrious career. And maybe it wasn't meant to be for Cena to pass him. So, you know, I think that this past couple of weeks of him having this run where he had matches with Samoa Joe, matches with Nakamura, matches with, obviously with Roman Reigns, he's gotten all the matches and hit all the spots where he's wanted to hit. Even guys like Stroman and Jinder to a lesser extent. To where if he doesn't come back right away, hey, at least he's gotten all these matches and we've gotten to see them, and he's made things like a SmackDown against Nakamura or a show like No Mercy a bigger deal because he's gotten these matches in. So that's pretty much my thoughts on that. Now, obviously, it's going to spend a lot of time on that just because I thought that was the biggest story coming out of it. But I really enjoyed the tag match yesterday, too. Poor Cesaro getting his face smashed up. I thought those guys tore the house down, though. You've got the Mini Shield, Rollins and Ambrose. Those guys are killing themselves, having great matches in for the tag team division. Really, really good stuff there. And I also thought that the women really did really well yesterday. Women's five-way was great. Obviously, Alexa Bliss keeping the belt. It was really interesting to hear the crowd. People were so behind Alexa Bliss. People were so behind Nia Jax. And I feel like people were kind of asleep on Sasha Banks and Bayley, which was kind of interesting to see that the crowd is kind of turning there. And Alexa Bliss has done such a good job as her role as women's champ that people are getting behind her. Myself, personally, I was rooting for Emma. I knew that, you know, it was kind of a long shot, but I thought it would have been great if she won it. And then, obviously, the main event, it wasn't really a great match, to be perfectly honest. It was kind of a bummer. It felt like yesterday would have been the time to pull the trigger on Braun Strowman. I think that, you know, they really had something. And I know a lot of people are drawing the comparisons to Ryback, and the reason for that is because they had that one pay-per-view, I think it was December 2012, where people got really into Ryback, and he went for the title against Punk, and it felt like, man, maybe they should just go full tilt with this. And they didn't, and they had him lose, and he never really recovered from that. I mean, for me, I think he never really recovered from the loss at WrestleMania to Mark Henry. That I still don't understand the booking behind. Don't understand that decision to have Mark Henry beat Ryback in WrestleMania 29. But, you know, neither here nor there. Hopefully Strowman will be okay, because they've done a really good job in building this guy up. And, you know, I know people are hating on the actual quality of the match, but remember, guy's only been around 2 years. So he's gonna have those matches. And this isn't like he had a great career in Japan before he came to WWE. He's only been like wrestling for like 2 years, I believe, or maybe a little while longer than that in the Performance Center. But he's not a very experienced wrestler. So he's gonna have matches where they're not knocking your socks off, and you accept it because of the character and because of the fact that he's a bigger dude and he does crazy things like throw a chair and fling the crap out of a chair towards Roman Reigns' face, or flip a table up on Brock Lesnar. So, you know, I thought that part of it was okay, but I just didn't like the booking of it. Just one F5 it seemed, and that was the end of Stroman. I don't think that they did enough, just by Brock looking like, ooh, and all nervous that, wow, I barely escaped. I don't think they did enough to solidify Braun yesterday. I think they kind of did him a disservice. So at the end of the show, coming out of that show, Roman Reigns looks incredibly strong. He kicks out of like 3 different attitude adjustments, kicks out of everything Cena can give him. Brock Lesnar looks completely and utterly strong. He looks like they're building him up like a son of a gun as champ in his match, going for Braun Strowman. And to a lesser extent now, Ambrose and Rollins looked pretty big and pretty strong, building up their reunion as the tag champs. And I thought Finn Balor looked pretty strong. But it's clear that we are going down this collision course towards Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, one-on-one, the rematch, years in the making from WrestleMania 31. Assume that's where we're going, and I think we will get there. Obviously, it's been reported for a while. I want to say the Wrestling Observer newsletter had said that a while back, and we're going to get there, I think, at some point. But I think hopefully we'll have some fun twists and turns along the way, maybe with Finn Balor. Obviously, tonight on Raw, they're promoting that Roman Reigns is going to be on Miz TV, talking about his old friends. James McKenna of Pro Wrestling Sheep reported that the rumor is that the Shield is reuniting for TLC. So that'll be very interesting to see if they do go with that 5 years after they debuted and are now running the show on Raw. So that'll be fun tonight. But overall, a good No Mercy show. Let me know what you thought, though. That I'm even more interested in hearing about in the comment section below, and in the and obviously over on the Twitter at Tommy on the Spot. That is going to do it for me today. Please feel free to keep tuning in to the dailyspotlight.com and to the Wrestling Drive right here on YouTube. It'd be great to hear from each and every one of you. And until next time, everybody, let's have a great week.